We are back. Jackson is back, and we are live coming to you. We call this the weekly wrap up, and I decided that we're actually going to do a weekly wrap up this week.
All right, man. That's what you
Because
want to
we haven't done that yet. We just start these lives, and then we go through and we just pick a topic and we run with it, and there's no part of it that is wrapping up the week.
No,
so we are here, and we are going to get into it. Just going through the week, who's playing well, who's not. Going to dive into the last 10. Nobody in the AL East, so we're going to jump right out of that. And we're going to jump into the AL Central because a large part of the AL Central is playing really well. White Sox are 4-6 in their last 10. Not great, but better. But the Tigers, the Guardians, the Royals, and Twins, the Twins are hot. Twins are 8-2. A week ago, they were 15-20. Now they're 21-20. Swept the Orioles. Shout out my O's. American League West, again, a lot of teams that are just kind of playing a lot of 500 baseball the last week. But the Mariners keeping themselves right in front. I saw the other day on Twitter, Mariners fans are very iffy about the likelihood that they maintain this going into the All-Star break, which feels far away for them. But in all actuality, I think they were up like 10 or 12 games on the Astros last year and lost the division. Yeah. So it's very, very well. No, listen. I'm just saying they have every right to feel the way they do.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah,
totally.
that's all I'm saying.
They came from a couple of years ago when they were competing for a spot and traded Kendall Graveman to the Astros in the middle of
Yeah,
that didn't
No,
happen.
that's tough.
I was very unhappy with that.
It's tough when you're right in the mix and then you trade within the division. It just never feels right.
No.
But I mean, the Rays did it. The Rays did it a couple of years ago. They traded last year. They traded Zach Eflin to the Orioles. I wouldn't say they were in it, but certainly interesting. Phillies are playing good baseball right now. Beat the Guardians again tonight. Kyle Schwarber, 2 bombs, had all 3 RBIs. Yeah, he's got an on-base streak leading baseball. I think it's 45 games now. It goes all the way back to last September. They're 7-3 in their last 10, playing really well at home, getting better on the road. Who else? The Cardinals. Cardinals are 8-2.
Yeah, they are. And what did they just do? What did they do all week? Who'd they beat
also
up on,
did.
Jackson?
They also
Tell
did.
The people.
They also did beat up on the Nationals this week.
Good week of baseball.
Do I have to be here the whole time?
Good week of baseball.
But 8-2 Cardinals. Cardinals are sitting second in that division.
I need to throw something out on the Cardinals here. Eric Fetty came back to DC and shoved it down our
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
But that was deserved.
I don't know that it was deserved. I don't know that we were bad to the guy, but he went overseas and learned how to throw a splitter and learned how to throw his stuff in and around.
They're not afraid to throw splitters over there.
Dude,
we were afraid to throw splitters in America for the longest time because we thought it was we just thought it was the thing that caused elbow injuries. Now everyone wants to throw one. You're trying to get me to throw one. It's not happening.
Turns out.
Read the article, Jackson. That's not why.
Mine is gross, so I don't want to hear it.
Also 20 miles an hour slower than the big league ones.
Hey now. RPMs are similar. That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
And the Padres 7-3 in their last 10.
Hey, what did they do to the Rockies the
Rockies?
Day? The game that we were at.
The Rockies won today, and we are going to talk about the Rockies. But we went to the game, and it was 21-0. We left in the 7th. I wasn't even home. I lived 10 minutes from the stadium. I wasn't even home, and the game was over. Like, the last 2 innings might have ended in record time. But yeah, 3 touchdowns. It was crazy. I thought they were going to go for 2 there at the end, just to really put it out of reach. But once they were up by 3 scores, it felt like they were there, so it didn't matter.
OTAs are coming up, so if you need a football podcast, we're the wrong ones.
Yeah, not us. I'm more of an in-season guy when it comes to football. But yeah, that's your weekly wrap-up. And now we can actually get into the live stream. Thank you. You know what? I wrote weekly wrap-up as the header for this episode, and I thought to myself, I don't know that we've ever wrapped up the week in 3 weeks of doing these. Maybe we should. So here we are. We are wrapping up the week. For our very early listeners and viewers, just want to throw this out there. If you enjoy these live streams, please go listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, watch it on YouTube. You can see these two faces for radio. Actually, in front of you on YouTube, you can see Ryan just kind of staring into the abyss while I talk.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
That's what happens. But yeah, please go listen to the other podcast episodes. And if you don't get to stick around for the rest of tonight, this will be uploaded on there afterwards and available immediately following. All right, boys, we got to start with the big one, and it happened today. The Rockies decided to take Bud Black out behind the shed and put him down after taking him to his favorite park, after giving him his favorite meal. He won the game on Mother's Day. You could have just fired him after losing 21-0, and everybody would have been like, finally. Like, you put the dog that's been limping for 25 years out of his misery. Instead, they were like, no, we're going to take the one that's just kind of causing us a little bit of an inconvenience and still has a happy life to live, and we're done with him after he gets a win on Mother's Day. So, curious your guys' thoughts. It very rarely is the manager's fault, but when they sign up for that job, they're also kind of signing up to be team scapegoat, as we've seen in a lot of situations. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts on what happened.
Yeah, I've just always thought it's in all sports. So you see in all sports, teams hiring managers or coaches knowing you're going to win not a lot of games and firing them after the season, basically just be like, I mean, the Patriots was Gerard Mayo last year in football. I mean, you see it every year, just hiring people, firing them after 1 year or a couple of years, knowing you're not going to be good and bringing in your guy later. So that just, I kind of feel like they brought in Bud Black with a guy with experience, just kind of help get them through some tough times, and I guess the times got too tough.
It's a good way to put it. Listen, Bud Black's been around the block. You want to talk about somebody who understands how this works and knows. The biggest thing that I look at here is in every situation somebody gets held accountable from a business perspective, and this is a business move at the end of the day. They were going to lose that game 21-0 regardless of if Bud Black was the manager or not. Unfortunately, at the current moment, that is a team that has a lot of very talented people on it. Very talented position players who can rake when they're healthy, ready, on time, right? It's not as if it's not a somewhat talented roster with a ton of really good athletes, but at the end of the day, they're not performing, and we just saw it happen in Pittsburgh. I mean, even Skeens made comment on it. It didn't surprise anybody in the clubhouse, right? So my point being is that this is wholeheartedly and nothing other than a business decision. And the Rockies just decided that for the moment, it's probably easier to just say we're hosing Bud Black. For now, the blame kind of gets pushed on his plate, and then we're going to move on and see what happens. It'll be really interesting to see how the actual Rockies team kind of moves forward under, I believe, the third base coach is the interim head coach, and I don't know his name. That's on me. And then Clint Hurdle is going to be their interim bench coach. Right? So still a lot of experience there. They need to find a way to foster young talent right now. And if they didn't feel like that was happening under Bud Black, then you were going to make the change no matter what. The scoreboard didn't matter in that scenario.
I mean, I've been saying this for a while. Do you think that they roll back, or I guess run it back with Clint Hurdle when the season ends and kind of let him start fresh? My guess is the third base coach, and it is terrible that we did not prepare to know his name, but my guess is that he takes this as an opportunity to jump into a bench coach role, right? The hardest thing about getting into a bench coach role or a head coach role is getting there. Sometimes being a third base coach for a long time is that move. Sometimes getting a situation like this is that move. I'm just curious with the experience that Clint Hurdle has, if there's a chance that they push towards him moving into that role while this team grows, and maybe go down the route of saying, hey, while we're trying to potentially enter a window, let's go down the road of somebody who's been here before, knows what it means to be a manager for the Rockies, and then takes it a step further with, whatever these young guys are, and then they move into what they think is going to be their manager of the future. It's hard. We live in a world where everybody needs to have such quick gratification. You very rarely see managers get to stick around for a long time. it's shocking to me that the front office didn't move the GM as well, just because situationally how things are going right now, that's what the White Sox did when things were at this point last year. It's very often that those two move together. The fact that they went bench coach and manager and not GM is somewhat shocking.
Agreed.
Looked it up. Third baseman's coach's name is Warren Schaefer.
Yeah, there he
guy
is.
40, so I'm not surprised they went with a younger guy there because I feel like maybe having a younger guy in the clubhouse with a younger team like that could be something.
Where it's his voice now?
Yeah. Help relate to the players. Kind of like what the White Sox did with Grady Sizemore last year.
Yeah.
Something just similar along those lines. Get a younger guy in the clubhouse, get him relating to the guys, maybe help keep the energy up on a day-to-day basis. So that could be the move next year as well. So we'll just see what happens.
Could be the move.
Former Virginia Tech Hokie, drafted in the 38th round by the Rockies in 2007, so he's had a lot of familiarity with this organization.
Yeah, he's bleeds that purple and black, baby.
And let me tell you what, I hope that especially after us doing the poor thing here and not knowing his name off rip, I'm really hoping that he goes nuts here in Colorado and we're there live to see it, because this could be good for them. Listen, you need new energy at some point in time. It doesn't matter what type of organization you're running, whether it's a baseball team or something else. Right, there are times of which you have to do something to get things out of stagnation, and this could be it for the Rockies to at least start playing a better brand of baseball. 7-33, not a great start.
Well, let's look at this lineup right now. Right, even with Ezekiel Tovar out, Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, Ryan McMahon, Hunter Goodman, Michael Tolia, Mickey Moniak, Kyle Farmer, who just came back, and Nick Martini and Adele Amador. Are there a couple of guys in that lineup where I'm like, but there's a top half of that lineup that should be helping you put up 5 to 6 runs a game.
Yeah.
Like,
how about just
Ryan
the
McMahon
ability to, right? There's a level of consistency that we haven't seen, and that's really what this is offensively for them.
Absolutely.
It's individuals performing well, and the team is not necessarily stringing it together when they are, and it's never more than 2 people at a time right now.
The highest level of service time in the dugout right now, I guess Chris Bryant is making his way back into the dugout, but Ryan McMahon, 7 years. You don't really have, 7 years in the big leagues is a long time. There's tons of guys who don't even get a full season.
Average is under 3 years nowadays, so...
But are we saying Ryan McMahon is the sole veteran leader in that clubhouse?
And then Kyle Freeland probably had to bet.
Right.
That's a great, yeah.
When you look at that as a whole, right, Kyle Freeland, 7 years, Antonio Senzatella, 7 years, German Marquez, 8 years. But, when you start breaking this down, it just doesn't scream to me like they've got a group of guys that culturally knows how to take what's happening right now and fix it. I think that's the biggest struggle. It's almost like everyone's looking around for somebody else to do something.
I think you revert this back to your question then, and that's what we'll find out by the end of the season. Is what Warren Schaefer can build till the end of the year going to be something that is meant to be sustained if the team is playing well? If they're not, do they move to Clint Hurdle in order to quote-unquote stabilize the organization until there is potentially a manager of a future? People have to remember that Hurdle came from the front office this year. He wasn't in the dugout to start the year.
Nope.
Hurdle was part of the front office. He then took over the hitting role. Was it the hitting coach
Yeah, he was
role?
the hitting coach. Took over the hitting coach role, which I don't know who's taking over the hitting coach role. I guess he's going to do both.
Potentially. So, point being is, there is a lot of question marks of how this moves forward for the Rockies. The biggest thing that we need to see is, can a cultural shift help these bats wake up a little bit? And can it kind of wake up the whole team in general? Because they've had some good starts for the most part, right? It's just it's been tough, man. This has not been the funnest season for Rockies fans, and at 7-33, I would be feeling the same way.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's flip it because I want to talk about something fun now.
Okay.
Jackson, I know you have a topic you want to talk about here. We talked about him before, but let's talk about the Cardinals. 22-19. They're 15-6 at home, 8-2 in their last 10. 1 game out in the NL Central. You brought up Matt Liberatore. he's not the only guy, but I want you to kind of kick us off here on this topic that you wanted to go into tonight.
I've just been really impressed with Liberatore. As a Cardinals fan the past couple of years, the most frustrating thing has been it feels like every year or so we get that big prospect. Everyone's telling us about it. He doesn't pan out. We had Gorman hasn't been lived up to expectations. Carlson didn't. Jordan Walker hasn't so far. Liberatore was supposed to be that guy for a while, didn't pan out, and it just feels really good that the Cardinals player development stuck with Liberatore and is able to kind of like get him into an ace role. I feel like that's an underrated part of baseball right now, is being able to get guys who are top prospects who maybe don't start off as hot and then get them going eventually down the line. And Liberatore's been awesome this year. I think he has right around a 3 ERA. He's just been awesome for him this year. I think it's very promising with the Cardinals organization that they've been able to get him up. We have a couple lefties in the minors, Cooper Reserve and Quinn Matthews.
Yep.
Maybe they can help fit into that mold. And, yeah, it's been definitely a surprising year. I expected under 500 ball, and they've been playing great balls of late.
It's a tough beginning to the season for the Cardinals from a prospect perspective. Both Quinn Matthews, Tink Hence, and I think there was one other pitcher went on the injured list.
Yeah.
I think it was Cooper Reserve, actually.
Definitely.
All went on the IL very early into the season, which isn't the worst thing in the world considering the timing.
Yeah.
If everybody stays on the same progression, especially through injury, not the worst. And if it's before they get to the big leagues, you're not cutting into your window, which is nice. But you do have some guys who are playing pretty well in the minors right now, which is nice to see. You've got a catcher down there in Jimmy Crooks, who's 763 OPS. He's got 5 bombs already. J.J. Weatherholt, I think, is one of my favorite prospects in baseball right now, who just all around does so many good things. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they develop, because I think one of the things that we've seen the Cardinals struggle with the last couple of years is picking who their core is going to be. Yeah. What they've done so well over the last 25, 30 years is basically never take a season off. Not because they don't always have the best talent or that they aren't drafting well, but because they are able to determine who their core is going forward and that they're going to leverage in building around really well. And it feels like the last couple of years they've moved guys who have played better in other places and not kept them, and then kept the guys who haven't panned out nearly as much. Again, Jordan Walker's a great example of this. He's super young still. Jordan Walker's still got plenty of time to turn into a top-level player. It also just might be that he's a 10-year big leaguer that is around a 2 to 10 WAR, right? Like, it's just a little bit above average every single year, but pretty much a replacement player who is good in your lineup and hits for you every 3 days. Some guys are that, and that's not a bad thing. That gets paid for at this level. But it is fascinating to see the Cardinals start to have more prospects again, and it'll be interesting to see what decisions they make and who they continue going with.
Especially with Chair Bloom taking over at this offseason. I expect him to maybe clean house a little bit. It's kind of what the rumor is. And like I said, the player development staff has been catching a lot of slack the past couple of years, just simply because we've had a bunch of big prospects who haven't turned up. So I'm interested to see how the next couple of years with the J.J. Weatherholt, with the pitching prospects, how they go about bringing them up and how they go about developing them in the minors.
Yeah.
So real quick on Liberatore, I think what's super, super interesting is the biggest change for him is not only pitch mix, but his changeup specifically. They've
you looking at his Savant page?
Yeah, I can throw it up.
Pull it up. Throw that thing up there.
So one of the things that's really nice to look at with this is, and I'll show everybody the change here. I don't know. Yeah, you can see my mouse. So when you look at him, let's look at his season last year. The first thing that's going to pop out to everybody, and I'm going to do this immediately, and you'll see it. Just watch this bar right here. Okay. When we're talking about walks, it's a very simple thought process in baseball. This is your ability to be in the zone and be competitive, right? Easiest way to put what a walk is to everybody.
Welcome to baseball.
So he was he was halfway in the league, right? He was somewhere in the 50% range. The year before he was worse. First cup of tea, he was worse. Okay. But the biggest change that you're going to see is, one, he started using the changeup more this year and the sinker less this year. Okay. Why is that important? If you look right here, you're going to see the change in depth on his changeup year over year. So you can see where the spread is, okay? His changeup movement has changed, and what it did is it became more in sync with what his sinker does, right? It's just slower and moving downwards more than the sinker is, all right, at the current moment. So why am I bringing this up to you? What it's actually done for everybody, which is what hopefully you find interesting, is the fact that his fastball is now getting 3% more whiffs year over year, right? And the changeup that we're talking about is currently not only been effective, it's getting a very high whiff rate at 19.4%, and people are hitting 118 off of it. Okay, so when I look at what he's done, his changeup has been very, very good in the change they made this offseason. And also, check out the fact that his fastball went from a -3 run value to already a 2-run value in 2025. So when you're looking at a pitcher like this is where you see a pitching lab, more than likely, however he went to work in the offseason, really, really helping him not only make a pitch more efficient, but they did that in the offseason, and now they're deploying it in the right way, right? Because if I had to guess, and I did not look at this one while I was singing it, I bet you his sinker got hit pretty hard last year. Last year, his sinker was getting slugged at a 469 rate. This year, his sinker is getting slugged at a 375 rate.
All right, well,
that is due to the fact that he has a pitch that looks just like it, that plays off of the same planes, that he can throw with confidence. And he's throwing it, I believe, 2 times as much as he did in 2024, which 5% to 12%. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to see guys who already have a pretty wide pitch mix find the repertoire that works, find ways to use it, because you know what also is happening just as a player and having been there. You know the confidence level when the pitch gets called and he grabs the ball. He knows the changeup is good.
Yeah.
He knows that he feels confident that when he throws it, he can throw something good and it's not going to get banged all over the yard, right? The confidence, and then that goes even further in allowing you to use more of a pitch mix. It allows you to be more in the zone. Again, the reason his walks are probably down is because he's maybe getting more balls in play. I would guess his counts are probably not as deep. I would guess that he's probably staying around hittable areas, but throwing enough of a different mix that he's getting bad swings. So I'm sure you still have it up, but if you don't, I'd be really interested to see the change in his hard hit percentage or his I don't even know what they call it. Average exit velocity, 90 miles an hour. Will you go to 2000 or 24? That was better. It's actually it's less. All right, well,
It's a good
I'm
thought.
done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm just kidding. I have to stay this whole time. I'm just kidding.
What?
Oh,
so,
man.
So let's we were gonna do it eventually. So this is the segment where for everybody joining, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is Baseball and Stitch. We drop podcast every Thursday on whatever your favorite platform might, or every Tuesday. Wow, we don't do anything.
I was gonna say that
Every
is not right.
On whatever your favorite platform might be, Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. If you're joining the conversation, make sure you guys take a look. Come listen. We're always hanging out. And for any of you who need something that's funnier, just wait to the end of most shows. And this guy over here, who says they're Danny Duffy, which we should have probably done that at the beginning too, but that's okay.
It's on your other side, but that's okay.
He normally roasts us, so it's just what it is.
He's over there.
He's over there somewhere.
Yeah, you're pointing to me.
I tried.
Also, throw some stuff in the chat. Chat with us. Let us know if you have questions, things you want us to talk about. We're always here to answer answer questions with our little knowledge.
All right, we'll get soapboxy here real quick because there's one thing that has to be talked about. It's talked about on the podcast this week, and it'll be talked about here because it's really important that we get to this. The Lance McCullers situation is pretty gross. And for any of you who aren't aware of what happened to McCullers this week, he had his second start after 900-plus days of not being in a big league uniform. It did not go great for McCullers, and he was on record in an interview after the game pretty distraught about the fact that people threaten the life of his children. So let's just stop real quick. Let's remember that we're all people. Let's remember that Lance McCullers is just like you and I. He just happens to be a pitcher of a Major League Baseball team. And let's try to remember that families should always be off limits no matter what this is, regardless of how somebody performs, regardless of what they do. If you go into work and have a bad week and anybody ever threatened your family because you had a bad week at work or had something happen, you wouldn't like it either. So at the end of the day, guys, this is something that we always want to talk about and call out in the right way because that's just not activity that we want in the baseball community. So stop every once in a while. Remember that these are people just like me and you. And at the end of the day, all that does is stress somebody out and stress for the safety of their family. And final piece of this, leave the kids out of it. Guys, we need this game to be wonderful, fun, and everything that young people want to be part of. Otherwise, we don't have it. So let's not do that.
I don't know that I understand what the expectation was for Lance McCullers.
I don't disagree.
Like his second start after
days.
915 days, he had not been on a major league mound. What'd you want him to do? Go throw a perfect game? Like even a quality start would have been magical. Like if I were them, I would have hoped for 4 innings, 3 runs, healthy. Wakes up the next day and his arm feels good. Like that's a sound second outing for me for a guy who hadn't been on a big league mound in 915 days. Like just for perspective, and obviously it is different, but Tyler Naquin, who is trying to become a pitcher in the Guardians organization, in his first outing, I believe balked like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like 915 days is a long time. It almost feels like you haven't been on a mound before when you step back up there. There's parts of it that'll be like riding a bike, but there's other parts of it where you cannot simulate. It's just not going to be that good. The fact that people had some level of expectation that was better than what he ended up doing, like, come on. And then to go as far as DMing him and going after his family and his kids and even going after him, but like that happens. I don't agree with it, but it happens. But like it's crazy to me.
Don't love it. So really,
Jackson, do you have any thoughts? Jackson's like, it was me. I actually was sending the DMs.
No, just I agree with everything you said. And keep the kids out of it. Keep the family out of it. Like, have some feel with when you're talking to players.
There it
like
is.
That.
Have some feel.
I like that. Well, either way, let's move off of this. Thank you for listening to our soapbox. It's really important for us that we remind people. At the end of the day, the baseball community is what all of us end up making out of it because we're all part of it. So just remember that maybe next time before we start going nuts here. Just what it is. Let's talk about something that is a little less stressful. And Flax, you probably don't want to talk about this, but like I don't know, we just haven't talked about it, so we're going to talk about it. Flax, is this good?
I have no problem talking about it. It's as long as we're not talking about it in the frame of Teacher Man, I'm perfectly happy to talk about how good he is at hitting a baseball. I don't want to hear from people that he's the best right-handed hitter that we've seen in this game since God knows who. I know who. His name's Albert Pujols. He didn't play that long ago. Like, again, like, listen, I love Aaron Judge. I think he's a great hitter. What he's done over the last 162 games, because we can keep using that mark because he just keeps hitting better and better, is absurd. Totally understood. But in the grand scheme of his career, we are talking about what after this year will be a 4.5-year stretch, really a 3.5-year stretch of like dominant hitting. So go to his Savant page for 2021 because I want to look at this. So again,
I didn't see much change.
No,
It's
absolutely.
insane. No, it's crazy.
And this is where I said this would be a 4.5 year block because he was hurt and only played 106 games in 2023. But then I want to go to 2020. Sorry, 2019. 2020 is not fair. He still hits the ball hard. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the. I need to go back for a second because what I want people to understand that I'm saying is not that Aaron Judge is not a good hitter. I want people to understand what I'm saying is he's not a Hall of Famer yet.
Sure. I think
Jackson, I saw that face. He's not.
He's not.
So he's in the category, and this is how I put it. I hate putting this in the world, but I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. Like, something happened to Aaron Judge, yes, he would be in the Hall of Fame. Aaron Judge is wonderful. We're not worried about anything happening like that, so we don't need to bring that up. The bigger piece with Aaron Judge is this, and this is where what I think you're really trying to get to, and I do agree with it, is just it's a cumulative thing, right? A lot of people, because of his OPS and the numbers that he's putting up, are starting to compare him to Barry Bonds. What he is doing right now is very well compared to what Barry Bonds was doing. I'm with that. What he's doing right now this year is very well compared to the best runs that Albert Pujols went on. The bigger piece that we have to have everybody hold on is baseball is still, especially when we talk about awards that happen in retirement, cumulative in retrospect, right? Like, you have to have all of the numbers. Aaron Judge's career is not over yet. He could potentially be the best. He could potentially, for what it's worth, be better than Barry Bonds. That is a hard thing to do, and it's going to take a long time to do it, because what people also forget is that Barry Bonds had an over 1,000 OPS in his final season in the big leagues, right? We're talking about somebody who, if the major leagues didn't blackball him, could have played for another 7 to 8 years, and who knows what the numbers he would have put up would look like. Now, the catch is that Aaron Judge is still 33 and still has a lot of time to continue to build this cumulative resume that could potentially, in turn, by when this is all said and done, be better than Pujols, be better than, again, I can't believe I'm saying it, Bonds, but it's the point, right? We're still not there yet. Now, what he does right now today is probably the best in the world. No, not probably, is the best in the world at the current moment. And what
absolutely.
He's doing. There's only one person on the planet that rivals him, and everybody's going to hate that I say it, but it's Shohei, and it's only because of the package of what Shohei brings. It's not because Shohei right now is a better hitter, because frankly, this is the best hitter on the planet right now. There is no real question about that. He's the best hitter on the planet. It's crazy.
No doubt.
I mean, I've never seen so many hundreds on a Savant page.
My favorite Aaron Judge factoid right now is if you do an all-time Yankees team, Aaron Judge is still not on it right now.
Really? Like cumulative statistics-wise?
Yeah, because you have an outfield, Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, and Mickey Mantle.
Damn. How about that one, Flax?
Say that one more time.
If you have an all-time Yankees team, in my opinion, Judge isn't on it right now. DiMaggio, Mantle, and Ruth.
Who's your DH?
I think you have a DH. You maybe throw Judge and Wright and Ruth a DH.
Yeah.
Well,
Ruth could be a two-way.
But if you have
Yankees,
if you have three outfielders,
I know he didn't pitch.
If you just pick three outfielders, I think Judge is probably fourth. Which is still just mind-numbing to think about a guy who's doing what he's doing. It is still not that just says a lot about the Yankees history.
I think it's funny for all the single-digit numbers that they have retired that they're also going to end up retiring a 99.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's awesome.
That's awesome. That's sick. Yeah.
Well,
it's hard, right? Like, when you look at his resume, Rookie of the Year, two MVPs, two MVPs, an MVP, a runner-up MVP, a Major League Player of the Year. Like, there is a lot on that resume that after this season, when he hits 10 years, where you could look at it and say, that's a Hall of Famer. The question then becomes, for the level that he's playing right now, is he first ballot? right?
Sure.
Then if he goes from age 33, which he is now, to age 38 over the next 5 years and does the same thing year in and year out, which is going to be very hard to do, and puts up an 8-year stretch of unbelievable hitting, then I think we start having the conversation about Bonds. We start having the conversation about Pujols. Like, I just think it's not like he hasn't done it at this dominant level for long enough. He's been a good, above, like way above average elite hitter for a while. But for the last 4 seasons, he has been heads above everyone as the best right-handed hitter in baseball. And I think
agree.
that's the next step for me is he a first ballot?
I think,
No question.
in my opinion, I think he's a Hall of Famer if he retires tomorrow.
Do you think he's a first ballot?
Probably not. I mean, I'm a big WAR guy when it comes to Hall of Fame. 55.7 WAR. That's Hall of Fame worthy. I don't know his first ballot. 329 home runs. That gets you in over some guys who are in right now. But I don't know if it's first ballot. But like, I think if he plays, after this year, if he plays 4 more years of injury-riddled, 1 WAR season ball, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's on the list of people for me who could retire tomorrow and be a Hall of Famer. I agree with you that there's a difference between a Hall of Famer and a first ballot Hall of Famer. Or
Agreed,
the
100%.
baseball world. The baseball world has dictated there's a difference, right?
I think there's less than 5 current players who are first ballot Hall of Famers.
What I think is craziest is coming into this season, he had a 52 point something WAR. We're only 180 plate appearances into the season, and he has added 3.2 WAR to his career WAR. What are we doing? 3.2.
Listen,
he's
got a 1273 OPS. I mean, dude,
And also,
listen, I get that the Barry Bonds stuff doesn't like sit totally well with people, but a 1273 OPS, if he was to hold this all season, is just Barry Bonds territory. We just haven't seen anybody else do that crap.
he's also playing defense.
Yeah,
at a
dude.
high level.
Like, yeah. Well, apparently he dove on one that was a 99 catch probability today, but he made the play,
Yeah.
and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's playing at a good level. I'll say good.
He's playing good enough. So here's the next question on Aaron Judge in 2025. In 1941, Ted Williams hit 406, and I'm trying to find what his stats were throughout the year, but he finished the year in a doubleheader where he went 6 for 8 to raise his average from 404 to 406 to end the year. It's crazy that we're here even talking about this, but does Aaron Judge finish the month of May with a batting average over 400? It's May 11th. Not the season, but does he finish the month of May with a batting average over 400? No. And the only reason why I think it is possible is that I think his dispersion of at-bats to plate appearances is going to continue growing, which means every hit is going to count for much more later in the season than most guys. So if he goes like he did today, he gets 4 hits, it could be a massive jump to his average.
Before you answer, Jackson, and I'll answer too, they have a series against the Mariners, a series against the Mets, a series against the Rangers.
You got 2.
Hold on.
You brought
a series against the Rockies, right? And a series against. No, this is important.
Homer
a series
away.
against the Angels, and then a series against the Dodgers.
How are they not playing the Orioles in that at all?
You said end of May. There you go.
Or anybody else in the division for that.
There is a 6-game stretch in here where Aaron Judge could easily hit 500 with 10 more nukes in 6 games. He gets the Rockies in Colorado back to back with the Angels in Anaheim.
I needed Aaron Judge and Charlie Morton for 10 at-bats.
That's what you really needed? So
yeah.
I'm gonna just have.
I think Judge would get 12 hits and 10 at bats. He'd hit a couple balls so far they would give him 2 hits.
Listen. Here's where I'm at with this. I think that it's possible, But I will be the first one to say I understand baseball, and the likelihood of him being over 400 after May is very low.
I'm out. I've seen how hard it is. We had a guy at ETSU last year, our leadoff hitter, who hit 420 into May, and went on a stretch of going like 3 for 10, and he's under 400. And like, it's so hard to just.
You can't.
I know it's different from like an ETSU player to judge, but at the same time, it's just.
No.
You just showed us math, though. Like in a
I don't know, but
positive way.
like the level at which Judge is hitting against major league pitching, I don't know that I almost do quantify them the same.
Yeah.
Of like, if you are dominating your level,
Yeah.
it's the same,
Yeah.
right? Like
I've
there
seen
is
high
a
batting
correlation
averages
there.
Yeah. I've seen high batting averages get taken before, and next thing you know, he's 3 for 10, had 2 hard lineouts, and like that stuff just kind of happens sometimes. Like he could easily be hitting 425 at the end of May. He could also be hitting 374.
There is a very, very large portion of this that is luck.
Yeah.
You have to have all the bloopers fall, all the broken bats turn into infield hits, all of like, you know, you have to have balls that have to get scored one way or the other in your favor. I just want to throw this out there because as we're talking about batting averages, it's one of my favorite things to enlighten people to that, like in D3 baseball, hitting 400 or higher is like in pro baseball where it used to be hitting 300 or higher. Like it's just commonplace. The guy leading all of D3 baseball right now with 135 at-bats in 35 games is hitting 496. Yeah,
What?
for Pitt Greensburg. The leadoff hitter for Denison, who, shout out Denison, won their 6th straight conference championship this week. They have their selection show tomorrow, figure out who they're hosting in Granville. Their leadoff hitter's hitting like 420 this year.
It's pretty good. Last time I checked.
Guy was the national player of the year last year, is hitting like 360, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's having a down year." I'm like, "In what world?" Like, he's batting 360 with 9 bombs. Like, get out of here.
That's not a bad stat line.
No. It is certainly fascinating though when you start looking across different leagues, across different levels. You know how it changes, but again, it falls under the same sentiment. The guy hitting 496 could go through his conference tournament this weekend, go 0 for 15, and all of a sudden he's, you know, because he's only got 135 at bats, all of a sudden he's hitting, you know, he's got 67 hits and 150 at bats. It's a totally different average. Stuff shifts much more in that short span of time. So, yeah. I listen, guys. This was just our weekly wrap up. I don't have much else. You guys have any other topics you want to talk about?
I didn't have anything specific today. I am excited to hear how Jackson roasts us for this week's podcast episode.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some in there. I'm hoping more towards Ryan this week because if you haven't listened to the podcast and you're wondering what we're talking about, first of all, go check out the pod. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. We drop new episodes every single Tuesday. There's a bunch out there that you can go listen to. We got a couple interviews out there, one with Tim Kirkshin. That was a great interview, and one with Bill Mosiello, the hitting coach and associate head coach at TCU, who's really making a push in the Big 12 right now, getting to a regional, potentially host a regional. So go check those episodes out. But at the end of the episodes, because Ryan and I tend to just decide to speak off the top of our brains and not along our outline, we pull stats out of thin air that do not exist. And Jackson keeps us straight. He is our Tony Reale. He comes on at the end of the episode, lets us know who made what mistakes, and we keep a running tally. And whoever has the most mistakes at the end of the year owes Jackson a steak dinner. Because Jackson is under 21, and we will not be buying him alcohol because we are good stewards of the law.
That's us. Steak dinners.
Listen,
steak dinner. When I was in college, I
Ribeyes,
had taken a steak dinner anyways. So just throwing it out
Yeah,
there.
I agree. I think I
I'll take
would
a
have
burger at
also.
this point. Give me a Big Mac.
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
that's easy. You can just do that in general.
We'll get you. Yeah, you just gotta text us if that's really what you need.
If you're really struggling for food, like let us know. But
So,
take that offline.
One real quick hit, just because it's a fun one for me. I don't know if you guys heard, but like Juan Soto's not bad at baseball, just because he signed a large contract.
He doesn't just walk.
No. Turns out Juan Soto's still pretty good. He's been hitting a lot of home runs lately. I just wanted to remind people that this is something that we all learned when we were very young, and it's patience. It's a very difficult thing in baseball and pro sports right now, but like we've got to, as fan bases, learn how to be more patient, not only with young players and prospects who are still trying to get their footing, but like you signed Juan friggin' Soto.
Yeah, until he's 42 years old. Get used to him.
Yeah,
he ain't going anywhere.
But it's not even just that. It's the fact that he's Juan friggin' Soto. Like,
Well, sure, yeah.
there's no level of this that he wasn't going to figure it out, and there was a lot pushed on Soto at the beginning of this. Is like, oh, he's regretting this. Oh, he doesn't want to be there. All of you have at some point in time changed jobs, if I had to guess, and I know I did, and I wasn't super comfortable my first couple weeks in my new job either. So like, I don't know, just crazy to me. I'm happy that he's.
I have not changed jobs. I still have the same job.
Well, then you're not
that I've
my
always
target
had.
demographic on this one. So I don't know. I just wanted to remind people that Juan Soto can hit as a player that holds a very important spot in my heart. Rooting for a team that was unwilling to bring him back. However, I mean that trade is rebuilding my entire organization, and I'm not upset about it. Thank you to Rizzo on that one. We're gonna leave it at that. But either way,
He does trade well. He trades well. He may
Max
not draft
Scherzer
well, but he
and
trades
Trey Turner.
well.
I not a good conversation for me. We'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Orioles and Nationals on these live streams because it would be no fun for you guys to hear. Although the Orioles did win their second series of the year, beat the Angels today. Zach Eflin was back. He was throwing well. Adley hit a triple. Outfielder lost it in the sun, but we'll take it. It is a run. Gunnar hit his 5th home run of the year. Things are looking up.
Dude,
I did see.
Action
You know what?
Jackson Holiday leading off.
Let's
go.
He's taking the best at bats of all 15 guys they could put in that lineup.
I saw.
I say
a
15
tweet-
because I want Sugano to be in the lineup.
I saw a tweet where someone was talking about how Matt Holliday helped fix Jackson's swing, and someone tweeted like, "How do the Orioles have no one in their organization that can do the job that
It wasn't just him,
250 miles away?"
dude. It wasn't just him. It was Jackson, and it was oh my God, there was somebody else had their swing fixed by somebody completely different, and everybody was just like, "Is Cody Ashe not paying attention? Is he like not a good hitting coach?" Like people were just like, "What's happening there?" And it's sometimes what's difficult, and we've talked about this before. Sometimes hitting coaches have a style of hitting that works well for them or that they know really well. Sure. And a lot of times it's what gets them a job because they have guys in their resume that they've worked with that speak well on their behalf. Sometimes they're not looking at the same things that work for other guys. Matt Holliday has seen Jackson Holliday's swing for what? He's 20 years old now, so 21. So he's seen it for 21 years. He knows what that swing is supposed to look like. He knows what a good swing looks like. His bat was flat. He just said, "Hey, your bat's flat late through the zone." Jackson Holliday was still taking good at bats. He was taking good swings. He was just late. Now he was missing good pitches to hit. Now he's just not missing good pitches to hit, and he's using the whole field like he's been trying to do. I will never, ever sit here and say that a coach needs to get fired. I don't believe in that. I think what they do is really difficult. I get frustrated when it feels like adjustments aren't being made. One of the stats that, and I know this is true, one of the stats that 2 years ago when the Orioles won 101 games that they led the league in was they were the best hitting team the second and third time around seeing a starting pitcher. What they did better than anyone else with the hitting coaches that they had at the time which now one of them is the Twins hitting coach and the other one is the White Sox hitting coach. What they did very well was they adjusted and made adjustments to pitchers as the game was going on. The most important thing you can do in baseball at any level is learn how to make adjustments. If you do the same thing over and over again and don't get the same results, it is the definition of insanity. And when it continues happening even at a high level in baseball, it is shocking. That's what I can't understand. And I think that's the biggest frustration when you look at a team like the Orioles, and I think a lot of people in baseball would say this. Because yes, you can be angry at the White Sox, you can be angry at the Pirates, you can be angry at these teams, the Rockies, that aren't playing well. But when it's all said and done, these are teams that don't have the same talent level that the Orioles have. The Orioles are truly underperforming. But what they're also not doing is making adjustments. They went through like a 10-game stretch where I said this to you the other day, right? I think they are hitting 190 with runners in scoring position.
You just can't
And they're second to last in the league with chances of having runners in scoring position. They're not putting the ball in play. And they're not doing it when it's the most important time to put the ball in play. Today, 2 days ago, both games they won. Man on third, less than 2 outs, sacrifice fly. Man on second, 2 outs, base hit. Like, they're the difference between winning and losing ball games.
Absolutely.
But if you're not making adjustments and you're continuously trying to just hit home runs and think that that's still your game, which it's not, that's not the lineup you have, it's going to be really hard to win ball games. The Orioles are not the only team that does this. The Orioles are not the only team that is struggling offensively. But it is very clear to see it because I watch so many of their games that they are just not making adjustments. So that's
listen, it's a tough situation too, and like you make the point is it's less about like things just sometimes don't work when you look at a coaching staff hitting philosophies and different things of this
right.
nature. Okay, here's what I would tell you guys. There was a time period in baseball where Kevin Cash was considered one of the best hitting coaches in baseball. He made like 5 to 6 stops over a 10-year period. This is part of what happens with some of these coaching staffs, how they get built. You are going to end up moving around due to success levels, who comes in from a management perspective. A lot of these coaching jobs, depending on where they were, they're not super stable. People are moving around a lot. So, like, if Ashley doesn't end up working out in Baltimore, that doesn't mean he's not good at what he does. It just may not mean that Baltimore's not the right setting for him to help hitters in, right? Organizational philosophy might not end up matching up the way they thought it would. This happens. Like I said, I bring up Kevin Cash because he had stops that didn't work, and he had stops that were, you looked at it and said, wow, who the hell's this hitting coach, and why would they ever let him go anywhere? So that's all. I think that's the great place to put it. I agree that the Orioles are underperforming. That has been not nearly as fun to watch as we would have liked. Now they have other deficiencies right now that are also hurting them within the rotation and health, and there's a lot that goes into it. So
and
that's
the pitching coach I loved from 2 years ago is now the bullpen coach for the Red Sox, Chris Holt. So
they've been playing pretty well this year.
Different philosophies for different people. Last thing I'll leave you guys on, Hawaii takes 2 of 3 from Cal State Fullerton, bumps himself up to 4th in the Big West, getting themselves closer and closer to a spot in the Big West tournament. I believe would at least give them a chance to push towards an at-large bid. They are 32-18 on the season. If they could just get themselves through a good stretch in the Big West tournament, could potentially net themselves an at-large bid. And our boys at ETSU, 2 of 3 from Wofford, baby. Come on. Let's get it. Let's get it going.
See how serious that is? That's the
Man's
face.
locked.
Sorry,
Man's locked in.
That's the face of a man who's locked. That guy right there, ready.
This weekend if we win 1 game against the Citadel, top 2 seed, we win 2, we at least clinch part of the regular season championship. Huge going to the Citadel. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Vibes are high though, guys are having fun.
Trying to lock up that double bye to start the SoCon championship, which I need to sit down and do some math to wrap my head around how this bracket works. But it's something. It's big. This is up there with the ACC bracket, which I think has changed. The SEC's got a big one also. It's a mess. I think the SEC starts with single elimination across the board that then turns into a double elimination tournament. I don't know. They just want these kids to play as much baseball as possible because all this stuff actually gets put on ESPN, which I love. So, grow the game. College baseball, up and to the right.
I love
Let's
it.
go.
I love it. Well, look, guys, that's what we got for you this week. Thanks for stopping into our weekly roundup show here. We'll be on every single Sunday with at least 3 of us. Maybe you never know who you're going to get. We do like to bring some guests on here and there when 1 of us, 2 of us, however many of us are not available. So you will see us on Baseball and Stitch doing this every single Sunday. Don't forget to go ahead and take a look at our podcast that we drop every single Tuesday, not Thursday, every single Tuesday. On your favorite streaming service.
It'll still be there on Thursday, though, if you want to go back that day. That's your kind of podcast listening day.
That's true. Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.